Manager humiliates elderly delegate, but late discovers his son's identity. In Silver Shores, a picturesque coastal town in the United States, Rachel Carter, an ambitious 32-year-old manager, finds herself at a crossroads that will change the course of her life and everyone around her. At the Ocean Haven Inn, the boutique hotel she struggles to maintain after the death of her mentor, tranquility hides secrets and tensions that could explode at any moment. Rachel has always been known for her professional and pragmatic demeanor, putting business above all else. However, the pressure to keep the hotel profitable turns her into a cold and relentless woman. When retired Sheriff Frank Morgan, 70, enters her hotel, he is not met with the warmth he expected. His simple appearance and straightforward manner are misinterpreted by Rachel, who, already irritated by complaints from other guests, makes a hasty decision. She expels Frank from the hotel. The confrontation in the lobby creates an uncomfortable atmosphere, with curious glances and murmurs of disapproval surrounding her. The next day, when Ethan Morgan, Frank's son, arrives at the Ocean Haven Inn to discuss a business partnership with Rachel, the manager panics upon discovering the businessman's identity. What seemed like an opportunity to save her hotel now becomes a threat, and guilt begins to eat away at her. Meanwhile, Ethan carries within him grievances about how his father was treated by the town after his retirement, and sees the revitalization of the hotel as a chance to right the past. As the story unfolds, Rachel discovers that Frank is not just a simple man, but someone who saved Silver Shores from a corruption scandal years ago. His return to the town is linked to an old mystery involving a missing friend, and the pieces start falling into place in unexpected ways. However, a devastating storm hits Silver Shores, isolating the Ocean Haven Inn and forcing Rachel to confront her own weaknesses and the need to work as a team. During the crisis, Rachel is compelled to see Frank in a new light. Recognizing his wisdom and altruism, she decides to sincerely apologize, seeking to correct her mistakes. Frank's response surprises her, and he offers to help save the hotel from financial ruin by sharing valuable information. Through this experience, Rachel learns about empathy and human connection, while Ethan and Frank begin to rebuild ties with the town they both love. The Ocean Haven Inn then transforms into a symbol of unity and renewal, showing that even in the most challenging situations, overcoming obstacles and friendship can flourish. Rachel Carter felt the weight of expectations on her shoulders as she looked out the window of the Ocean Haven Inn. The sea was churning, reflecting the approaching storm, and at the same time, she felt that something inside her was about to burst. That morning had started with Frank Morgan's eviction, and the late realization that he was the father of the businessman who could save her hotel left her in a state of despair and regret. Ethan Morgan, Frank's son, had become a constant presence in her mind. He was a respected businessman, but he also carried the pain of seeing his father treated with disdain. Rachel knew that to ensure the future of the Ocean Haven Inn, she would need to reconcile with Frank and consequently with Ethan. However, the idea of opening up to someone, especially after the constant pressure she felt to keep everything under control, was terrifying. Meanwhile, the hotel was facing an increasing flow of dissatisfied guests. The staff was demotivated, and daily problems seemed to multiply. The financial pressure was palpable, and Rachel could not afford to fail. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Lisa, one of the hotel's longest-serving employees, with a complaint about the lack of hot water in the rooms. "Rachel, this is affecting online reviews. We need to fix this now," Lisa said, her voice reflecting concern. With each word, Rachel felt more lost. What seemed like a simple complaint had turned into a reminder of the hotel's instability. In a moment of impulse, she responded harshly, "Handle it yourself, Lisa. "I don't have time for this right now." The disappointment on the employee's face made her realize that she was distancing herself from the people who truly mattered. With the tension in the air, Rachel decided to go for a walk by the sea, trying to clear her mind. The cold wind enveloped her, but it couldn't shake the restlessness that consumed her. Watching the waves crash against the shore, she remembered her mentor, the former owner of the hotel, who always told her that empathy and understanding were essential in any business. "Remember, Rachel, people are the soul of what we do," he used to say. The words echoed in her mind, humiliating her with the memory of her recent behavior. The walk took her to the pier, where she saw Ethan Morgan talking to some locals. He appeared comfortable and respected. As she approached, she felt a knot in her stomach. Would it be a good idea to talk to him? Doubt paralyzed her, but when he saw her, his face lit up. "Rachel, it's great to see you," Ethan said with a genuine smile. "I was thinking about how we could work together." She hesitated, but the sincerity in his voice encouraged her. "Ethan, I'm sorry for what happened with your father. I acted impulsively and I shouldn't have done that." He watched her in silence, and the surrounding environment seemed to quiet down, waiting for his response. "Look, Rachel, I understand that you're under pressure, but my father is not just a guest. He is a pillar of this community. If you open up to him, maybe he can help more than you imagine," Ethan replied, his voice heavy with empathy. "The city needs the Ocean Haven Inn, and my father wants to see that happen." Ethan's words touched Rachel deeply. She realized that for a long time, she had been so focused on financial success that she had forgotten the importance of human relationships. "I want to try. I want to fix this," she said, determined. With the decision made, Rachel returned to the hotel, ready to apologize to Frank. However, when she arrived in the lobby, a new crisis was unfolding. The storm was intensifying and the power began to fail. The guests, already dissatisfied, started to complain and the tension rose. Rachel felt fear creeping in, and the thought of failing again paralyzed her for a moment. It was then that she saw the hotel staff coming together to calm the guests and organize the situation. A wave of hope surged within her. Rachel realized that despite the difficulties, there were people by her side willing to fight for that place. The Ocean Haven Inn was more than a business. It was a home. With renewed determination, Rachel decided that she would not face this storm alone. She would seek out Frank, but she would also unite with her team and the community. Overcoming this would require more than her administrative skills. It would require vulnerability and trust, and more importantly, it would require her to learn the importance of asking for help. With a new spirit, she prepared to face the storm, both the external one and the internal one, and, who knows, discover the true power of unity. Rachel felt her heart racing as she watched the storm forming on the horizon. The hotel, which had always been her refuge, now felt like a drifting boat, struggling against rising waves of complaints and discontent. The power failed again, plunging the lobby into an unsettling twilight. The guests began to fidget, and the pressure mounted like the wind outside. "Rachel, we need more flashlights and candles," shouted Lisa as she tried to calm a group of guests demanding explanations. The anxious look on the employee's face made Rachel feel guilty. She had not only ignored Lisa's complaints earlier, but now she was also leaving her alone amid the chaos. Desperate, Rachel ran to the supply closet. Upon opening the door, she saw a pile of dusty candles and some lanterns that hadn't been used in months. The smell of old wax reminded her of better times when the hotel was full of life and joy. With the candles in hand, she returned to the lobby, determined to help her team. "Let's all work together, everyone. We need to stay calm and make sure our guests feel safe," Rachel said, trying to convey confidence. The sound of her own voice surprised her. She didn't feel confident, but the determination not to fail made her act. The team began to distribute lanterns and light candles, transforming the tense atmosphere into a more welcoming environment. However, the feeling of losing control did not leave her. A more agitated guest approached, demanding a refund for not having hot water. "This is unacceptable. I didn't pay to be here and freeze," he shouted. Frustration rose within Rachel. She was tired of dealing with complaints. "I understand your dissatisfaction, but we are doing our best. Please give us a moment to sort things out," she replied, trying to remain calm, but her voice sounded harsher than she intended. The guest rolled his eyes and walked away, muttering curses. "Rachel, maybe you should consider offering a partial refund," Lisa suggested with a worried look. "That could calm things down." Rachel frowned. The idea of giving up more money distressed her. The hotel was already in financial trouble and every penny counted. But at the same time, she knew she needed to maintain the reputation of the Ocean Haven Inn. Meanwhile, the storm outside intensified. The winds howled and the rain fell in torrents, creating a deafening noise. Rachel looked out the window and saw the waves crashing against the shore. The sea in its fury reflected the whirlwind of emotions consuming her. It was as if she were fighting against forces greater than herself. With a deep sigh, Rachel decided she needed help. "Lisa, you're right. Let's offer a partial refund to those who feel dissatisfied. What's important now is to ensure everyone feels heard and respected," she said, trying to hide the weakness in her voice. She realized she couldn't face everything alone. The team mobilized, and although tensions were still high, the atmosphere began to change. The staff came together, sharing tasks and concerns, and the pressure started to ease. Rachel felt a little lighter, but the shadow of uncertainty still loomed over her. Meanwhile, the idea of seeking out Frank Morgan plagued her. She knew that talking to him was inevitable. What would she say? How could she apologize without seeming weak? Insecurities haunted her, but the vision of the hotel and the community she loved so much propelled her forward. It was time to face not only the physical storm, but also the internal demons that were holding her back. Finally, when the storm seemed to relent, Rachel decided it was time to seek Frank. Walking to the door, she hesitated. What would she do if he rejected her? What if he didn't want to hear what she had to say? But as she thought about everything at stake, she remembered what her mentor always said. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward in spite of it. With her heart pounding, Rachel stepped out of the hotel towards Frank's house, determined to face the storm forming not only in the sky, but also in her heart. She knew this conversation would be a turning point, both for her and for the Ocean Haven Inn. Rachel walked down the slippery sidewalk, the cold winds whipping against her face as the rain fell in torrents. Each step toward Frank's house felt heavier than the last. She knew she needed to confront him, but doubt consumed her. What would he say? Would he still be willing to listen to her? The questions swirled in her mind like the dark clouds covering the sky. Before we continue with this thrilling story, take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any stories, and let us know which city you're watching this video from in the comments. Frank's house came into view. The windows were lit, and the sound of a radio playing softly reached her. A mix of nostalgia and apprehension enveloped her. Frank had always been a mentor to her, and the idea of apologizing made her nervous. But what troubled her the most was the feeling that if she didn't do it, she could lose not only his friendship, but also the opportunity to save the hotel she loved so much. As she rang the doorbell, her heart raced. The sound echoed through the silence of the stormy night. When the door opened, Frank looked at her in surprise. He wore an expression of tiredness, but there was a spark of curiosity in his eyes. "Rachel?" he asked, almost hesitantly. "Hi, Frank. Can I come in?" Her voice sounded weaker than she expected. He nodded and stepped aside to let her enter. As she crossed the threshold, Rachel felt the difference in temperature. The warmth of the house was comforting, but her heart was still cold. "You look worried," Frank commented as Rachel sat down on the sofa. He brought her a cup of hot tea and set it in front of her. "What's going on?" "It's about the hotel," Rachel began, but the words seemed to stick in her throat. "Things are tough. The storm, the guests, I don't know if we can hold on, and I failed." Frank watched her for a moment, his eyes assessing the situation. "Everyone can fail, Rachel. What matters is what you do next," he said calmly. She felt a wave of frustration. "I know that, but I'm not just talking about any failure. I let the hotel, the place that has always been my passion, deteriorate. Instead of fighting for it, I let myself get carried away by the difficulties and complained instead of taking action." Her voice trembled, and the emotion began to overflow. "And now, the guests are unhappy. I'm losing control. I don't want the Ocean Haven Inn to close. I can't let that happen." Frank tilted his head, looking more thoughtful. "What do you really fear, Rachel? Losing the hotel or losing your identity?" The question hit her like a bolt of lightning. Rachel felt exposed. The truth was that the hotel represented so much more than just a business to her. It was a symbol of her dreams, of everything she had worked for. I'm afraid of not being myself without the hotel. That place is part of who I am." Frank watched her in silence, and she realized he was reflecting on her words. Then, he said calmly, "Sometimes we need to face our failures and start over. What you need now is a new perspective. What you consider success may not be what really matters." Rachel began to feel the pressure in her chest dissipate. What Frank was saying made sense. She had let the idea of success blind her to what truly mattered: the people around her, the team that counted on her, and the guests looking for a temporary home at the hotel. "Are you saying I need to change my view of what success is?" Rachel asked, her voice steadier now. "Exactly. Success isn't just numbers or profits. It's about creating a space where people feel welcomed and valued. It's about the connection you establish with them, and more importantly, it's about you feeling fulfilled and happy on your journey." She looked at him, and the revelation hit her like a breath of fresh air. It was true. She had been so focused on keeping the hotel afloat that she forgot what really mattered: the people. "Thank you, Frank. You always have a way of making me see things differently," she said, feeling lighter. "Maybe I need to stop trying to be perfect and just be true to what the Ocean Haven Inn represents." Frank smiled, and Rachel felt a new sense of determination bloom within her. It was time to confront the storm head-on, not just outside, but also within herself. She stood up, thanked Frank, and left the house feeling rejuvenated. Now, the real battle was just beginning. This new perspective on what success was would prepare her not only to face the challenges ahead, but also to rediscover her true passion. Rachel left Frank's house with a new sparkle in her eyes. The rain was still falling, but now it felt more like a gentle dance than an unrelenting storm. As she walked back to the Ocean Haven Inn, her thoughts were turbulent, but no longer filled with doubts and fears. She felt invigorated, as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. The conversation with Frank had helped her realize that success wasn't just about saving the hotel, but also about reconnecting with her true essence. Upon arriving at the hotel, Rachel stopped in front of the door. The building, which had once seemed a source of stress, now emanated a warm aura of possibilities. The entrance light shone invitingly, and she felt a wave of determination. She needed to act, and immediately. As she crossed the threshold, her eyes met those of the staff. There was a look of concern on Sam's face, the receptionist. "Hi, Rachel. You're back. We were worried. What happened?" She smiled, trying to convey the new energy she felt. "I had an important conversation, and I realized that we need to change our approach. The hotel is more than just numbers or guests. It's about the experiences we offer." Sam looked at her with a mix of relief and anticipation. "What are you planning? We need to come together and discuss what we can do to improve our guests' experience. I want everyone here to feel part of this." Rachel began to gather the team, and soon they were all assembled in the hotel's living room. Curious and concerned looks met each other. She took a deep breath, feeling the anxiety mixed with excitement. "I know things haven't been easy, but I want us to look at this as an opportunity to connect with our guests in a new way." Ideas began to flow. Together they discussed ways to improve service, offer special events, and create a more welcoming environment. The atmosphere in the room changed. Those once tense faces were now lit up by a sense of purpose. Rachel realized that by sharing her vulnerability, she had allowed others to express their concerns and hopes as well. However, even with this new energy, obstacles began to arise. The next day, Rachel received a phone call from the food supplier, informing her that prices had risen drastically. She felt a knot in her stomach. How could they offer an amazing experience if costs were going up? Determined, she decided she wouldn't let that discourage her. Let's adapt our menu to use seasonal and local ingredients. This way, we can maintain quality and control costs, she suggested to herself and the team. The idea was well received, but implementation wouldn't be easy. In the following days, Rachel spent hours researching local suppliers and creating a new menu. The nights were long, and the pressure made her feel overwhelmed. She began to question whether she really had the strength to change things. But then she remembered Frank's words. Success wasn't just about results, but about the journey and the connections made along the way. On one of those exhausting nights, while reviewing documents, her friend Clara, one of the hotel staff, entered the room. "Hey, are you okay? You look tired," Clara said, concern in her eyes. "I'm just trying to figure everything out at once," Rachel replied, forcing a smile. "But I'm excited about the changes we're making." Clara sat down beside her. "Rachel, you don't have to carry everything alone. We're all here to help. You're not just the manager, you're part of our team. Let's do this together." Those words echoed in Rachel's mind. It was true, she didn't have to face the challenges alone. Instead, she could share the load with those around her. That night they began working together, discussing ideas and strategies, and Rachel felt lighter. The following days were a mix of challenges and victories. Every small progress, every smile from a satisfied guest was a reminder that they were on the right track. Even when difficulties arose, Rachel remembered the importance of maintaining the connection with the team and the guests. She began hosting small events like game nights and themed dinners, which not only boosted team morale, but also attracted new guests. Interactions with customers became more meaningful, and Rachel started recognizing familiar faces, creating bonds with those passing through Ocean Haven Inn. The storm was still out there, but now she felt ready to face it. Rachel realized that although the obstacles were real, the true strength lay in her determination to transform not just the hotel, but herself as well. Ocean Haven Inn was not just a place, it was a home, and she was willing to fight for what truly mattered. Rachel was determined not to let the challenges bring her down. Every time a new difficulty arose, she remembered the conversations she had with Frank and her team. Those memories became a beacon, illuminating her path as she navigated the uncertainties surrounding her. The financial pressure of the hotel was a constant weight on her shoulders, but Rachel began to see it as an opportunity for growth, both for herself and for the team. She decided that the best way to handle the situation was to open up to her colleagues. When she met with the team again, Rachel shared her concerns about rising supplier costs. "We have to think outside the box," she said, looking into each of their eyes. "What if we were more creative with what we have?" Rachel's suggestion was met with enthusiasm. Together they began to discuss how they could use local and seasonal products, creating dishes that would not only please the guests, but also support the local economy. Teamwork intensified. Clara, who had always been passionate about cooking, offered to help create the new menu. Seeing the team come together around a common goal made Rachel feel more confident and less alone in her journey. However, the pressure was still palpable. With the new menu in progress, the working nights became longer, and Rachel began to feel exhausted again. One night, while reviewing a list of suppliers, her eyes started to weigh down. Clara, noticing her friend's exhaustion, broke the silence. "Rachel, you need to rest. This isn't a race. We're all here to support you." Those words were a powerful reminder for Rachel. She realized that she didn't have to carry the weight of the world on her own. Accepting help wasn't a sign of weakness. It was an important step in her journey of overcoming. It helped her look at her situation from a new perspective. The team was not just a group of employees, but a family willing to fight by her side. With this new mindset, Rachel began to delegate more responsibilities. When an event planned for the hotel did not go as expected, instead of panicking, she took the situation as a lesson. "Let's learn from this and do better next time," she told the team members. This approach not only relieved the weight she felt, but also helped create a more open and collaborative environment. As the days went by, Ocean Haven Inn began to transform. The new initiatives attracted guests, and positive feedback started to come in. The hotel was becoming more than just a place to spend the night. It was becoming a home for those who visited. Rachel realized that success would not boil down to just numbers in the bank account, but rather to the experiences they offered and the bonds they created. The friendship between Rachel and Clara evolved during this time. They began to support each other, sharing not only the challenges of work, but also their hopes and personal dreams. This connection became a source of strength for Rachel, who started to see the value of the unusual friendships that had emerged in the midst of adversity. One night, while discussing the future of the hotel, Clara said, "Look how you've grown, Rachel. You're not the same person who started this. You've learned to trust yourself and us." That statement touched Rachel's heart. She realized that despite the difficulties, she had transformed into someone stronger and more confident. Rachel began applying the lessons she had learned along the way. Now, when a new challenge arose, she did not hesitate to seek the team's opinion or share responsibilities. This shift in mindset helped her see that true wealth was not in the hotel's finances, but in the shared experiences and mutual support. Over time, Ocean Haven Inn became a symbol of overcoming and growth, not just for Rachel, but for everyone who worked there. The difficulties did not disappear, but the team had learned to face them together, and that made all the difference. The journey was far from over, but Rachel now knew she had the strength and support needed to continue the fight. The day of the most awaited event at Ocean Haven Inn finally arrived. Rachel, alongside Clara and the team, had worked tirelessly to plan the big night, which promised to be a milestone in the hotel's recovery. But as the date approached, a new challenge arose. An unexpected storm formed, threatening not only the event, but also the hotel's future. The weather forecasts indicated torrential rains and strong winds, something that could drive away guests and ruin carefully laid plans. Rachel felt the weight of the pressure increase. She knew that if the event failed, not only would the hotel face financial difficulties, but the team, which had worked so hard, would also suffer the consequences. That morning, as she watched the dark clouds in the sky, a wave of discouragement hit her. The confidence she had built over the past weeks seemed to be unraveling. During the morning meeting, the team was visibly worried. Clara, sensing the tension in the air, tried to lift their spirits. "Let's focus on what we can control. If the storm comes, we'll do our best to adapt the event," she suggested. But uncertainty loomed over everyone, and Rachel felt she needed to make a decision. She needed to be the leader the team expected her to be. Taking a deep breath, Rachel stood up and spoke firmly. "I know we are facing a great challenge, but remember, we are stronger together. If the storm comes, we'll change the event. What matters is that we are here, all of us, and that we have each other's support." Her words resonated in the room, and gradually the team began to feel uplifted. As the day went on, the storm intensified. The first drops of rain began to fall, and the atmosphere grew tense. Rachel and her team quickly mobilized, deciding to move the event indoors. Clara and the others took charge of rearranging the decorations, while Rachel handled the logistics, making sure everything was ready on time. However, when the lights began to flicker and the power went out, Rachel's heart sank. She was about to panic, but looking at the team, she realized they were all working together, even in the face of adversity. That was the true essence of Ocean Haven Inn, a place of warmth and unity. "Let's light candles. That will add a special touch to the evening," Clara suggested, her eyes shining. The team quickly organized, and within minutes, The hall was illuminated by a soft candlelight, creating a magical atmosphere. Rachel watched as the team members worked hard, smiling and laughing, turning what could have been a disaster into a memorable night. When the first guests began to arrive, Rachel felt a flutter in her stomach, but seeing them smiling and admiring the new environment, a wave of relief washed over her. The event began, and the positive energy in the air was palpable. The dishes created with local ingredients delighted everyone, and laughter and conversations filled the space. In a moment of calm, Clara approached Rachel, who was watching the scene with a smile on her face. "Did you see how everyone came together? That's what really matters," Clara said, holding her friend's hand. Rachel looked into Clara's eyes and for the first time in a long time felt that everything she had done was worth it. The challenges they had faced together had solidified their friendship and strengthened the team. That night, as the music played and people enjoyed themselves, Rachel realized that her biggest challenge was not just the financial pressure or the logistical problems, but learning to trust her team and herself. She had discovered that true wealth was not in the numbers, but in the experiences and relationships she created. By the end of the event, when the guests began to say their goodbyes, many thanked the staff, praising the effort and dedication they had put into the night. Rachel felt a warmth in her heart. She knew that despite the failures and fresh starts, the journey was just beginning. With a new understanding of leadership and friendship, she was ready to face any challenge that the future might bring. And so, as the last guest left the hotel, Rachel and her team gathered to celebrate. A new chapter was beginning, and finally Rachel understood that true strength lay not only in her determination, but in the deep connection she had cultivated with those around her. The magical night at the Ocean Haven Inn was unfolding. With candles illuminating the hall and laughter echoing off the walls, Rachel watched her team with a mix of pride and gratitude. The event, which had started with so many uncertainties, had transformed into a celebration of overcoming obstacles and unity. As the guests bid farewell, the team gathered in a corner of the hall, still buzzing with the energy of the night. "We did it, everyone. What was supposed to be a disaster turned into one of the best nights of our lives," Clara exclaimed, her face beaming with a radiant smile. The other team members nodded in agreement, sharing looks of satisfaction. Rachel realized that those words were not just a celebration of the event, but an affirmation of what they had built together. As the guests left, Rachel felt a wave of relief. She had faced her fears and uncertainties, learning to trust not only in her own leadership, but also in the strength of her team. However, amidst the celebration, a concern still lingered in her mind. What if the storm caused damage to the hotel? "We need to check everything," she thought. With that idea in mind, Rachel called the team for a brief meeting. "Let's take a look at the outdoor spaces and make sure everything is in order. We need to be ready to welcome new guests tomorrow," she said, her firm tone reflecting the determination she had cultivated throughout the night. As they inspected the hotel, they found some areas that needed repairs, but nothing that compromised the safety of the guests. Clara, ever the optimist, commented, "I think we're ready for anything. After the storm, the sun always shines brighter." Clara's words brought a smile to Rachel's face. She realized how much the team had learned to support each other, even in difficulties. The next morning, the sky was clear and sunny, as if the storm from the night before had been just a nightmare. The guests began to arrive again, bringing with them smiles and good energy. Rachel and her team were ready, and the atmosphere of the hotel was vibrant. The experience of the previous night had brought everyone there even closer together, and Rachel's confidence in her team had blossomed. During breakfast, while serving the guests, Rachel had a heartfelt conversation with Clara. "You know, I never imagined we would be able to handle that situation. The storm made me see how important it is to have people by my side," she said, looking into her friend's eyes. Clara smiled, recalling the tension she had felt before the event. "And I never imagined things could turn around so quickly. It just shows that even amidst chaos, we can find beauty and unity." In that moment, Rachel realized that her financial and logistical worries had dissipated. What truly mattered was the connection she had formed with her team and the trust they were cultivating together. The experience of the storm had not only been a challenge, but a valuable lesson in resilience and teamwork. As the days passed, the Ocean Haven Inn began to thrive. The team, more cohesive than ever, implemented new ideas to attract guests, and gradually the hotel regained its reputation. During a meeting, Rachel looked at everyone present and said, "What we experienced on the night of the event was a turning point. I learned that the strength of our work lies in the trust we place in each other." The applause and smiles that followed confirmed that everyone there shared the same sentiment. They had overcome a great challenge and emerged from that experience stronger and more united. Rachel knew that the future would still bring uncertainties, but now she was ready to face them. With her team by her side, the Ocean Haven Inn was more than just a hotel. It was a family that had learned to dance through the storm and celebrate under the sun. Rachel looked at her team with new eyes. That journey, marked by challenges and triumphs, had transformed not only the Ocean Haven Inn, but also herself. With every shared laugh, every problem solved together, and every satisfied customer, she felt that the true essence of success was not in finances, but in the relationships she cultivated. In the weeks that followed the event, Rachel and her team worked tirelessly. The hotel flourished, welcoming new guests and winning back old customers who returned drawn by the renewed energy of the place. Seeing the smiles on the visitors' faces, Rachel realized that her struggle had been worthwhile. The trust she had built with the team had not only united them, but had also made them believe they could handle any adversity. But the true test was yet to come. A group of entrepreneurs who had previously tried to buy the hotel was keeping an eye on the renewed success of the Ocean Haven Inn. They wanted to destroy what Rachel and her team had built. The team was worried, but Rachel decided she would not be intimidated. She knew this was an opportunity to show not only her determination, but also the strength of her team. Rachel gathered everyone together and, with a sparkle in her eyes, said, "If they think they can take us down, they are very mistaken. We are more than a hotel. We are a family. We will fight for what we have built together." Her words resonated in everyone's hearts. With renewed spirit, they began to work on a plan to confront the entrepreneurs. Utilizing the creativity and unity they had developed, the team launched a social media campaign, highlighting the stories of satisfied guests and the magic that the Ocean Haven Inn represented. They invited the local community to participate in special events, bringing people to the hotel and strengthening bonds. The response was impressive. The community rallied, enthusiastically supporting the hotel. As the movement gained momentum, the entrepreneurs realized that their attempts to destabilize the Ocean Haven Inn were failing. The hotel was thriving and becoming a symbol of resilience and unity. Eventually, the entrepreneurs gave up their efforts, acknowledging that they could not compete with the strength of a united community. Rachel and her team celebrated the victory not only against the entrepreneurs, but also as a symbol of all the growth they had experienced. That night, everyone gathered for a thank you dinner, where Clara raised a toast to the strength of our team and the beauty of what we have built together. In that moment, Rachel felt the fullness of her journey. She had learned that true success was not just in having a profitable hotel, but in having people by her side who believed in the same vision. The friendship and unity that had formed were the true reward. With a heart full of gratitude, Rachel looked at her team and said, "What we have experienced together is a lesson we will carry for a lifetime. Never let anyone try to take down what you truly love. Fighting for what we believe in is always the way to go." In the end, the Ocean Haven Inn was not just a place to stay, it was now a home, a symbol of overcoming and love. Rachel invited everyone to share their own experiences of struggle and unity, reminding them that together they could face any storm. If you also have a story of struggle and overcoming, share it in the comments. Your experience may inspire others to find strength in their own journeys. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that show us the importance of unity and love. The time to act is now.